Constitution, what was proposed by the Constitution Bench in 1985, and what was sought to be achieved on the completion of 50 years of the advent of the Constitution, that is, the policy of reservation must have a time span, has still not been achieved even till this day. That is, till the completion of 75 years of our independence. It cannot be gainsaid that the age-old caste system in India was responsible for the origination of this reservation system in the country. It was introduced to correct the historical injustice faced by the persons belonging to the SCs, STs, and other backward classes, and to provide them a level playing field to compete with the persons belonging to the forward classes. However, at the end of 75 years of our independence, we need to revisit the system of reservation in the larger interest of the society as a whole, as a step forward towards the transformative constitutionalism. Be it noted that as per Article 334 of the Constitution, the provisions of Constitution relating to the reservation of seats for SCs and STs in the House of People and in the legislative assemblies of the states would cease to have effect on the expiration of the period of 80 years from the commencement of the Constitution. The representation of Anglo-Indian community in the House of Parliament and in the legislative assemblies of the state by nomination has already ceased by virtue of 104th Amendment, that is with effect from 25th January 2020. Therefore, similar timeline, if prescribed, for the special provisions in respect of the reservations and representations provided in Articles 15 and 16 of the Constitution, it would be a way forward leading to an egalitarian, casteless, and classless society. Thank you so much.
May I now invite Justice Paradiwala to place his view.
While concurring with my esteemed brother, Justice Maheshwari, and my esteemed sister, Justice Bila Trivedi, and while upholding the validity of the impugned amendment, I have thought fit to observe, I quote, thus, reservation is not an end, but a means to secure social and economic justice. Reservation should not be allowed to become a vested interest. Real solution, however, lies in eliminating the causes that have led to the social, educational, and economic backwardness of the weaker sections of the community. This exercise of eliminating the causes started immediately after the independence, that is almost 7 decades back, and it still continues. The long-standing development and the spread of education have resulted in tapering the gap between the classes to a considerable extent. As larger percentages of backward class members attain acceptable standards of education and employment, they should be removed from the backward categories so that the attention can be paid towards those classes which genuinely need help. In such circumstances, it is very much necessary to take into review the method of identification and the ways of determination of backward classes, and also ascertain whether the criteria adopted or applied for the classification of backward is relevant for today's conditions. The idea of Baba Saheb Ambedkar was to bring social harmony by introducing reservation for only 10 years. However, it has continued past 7 decades. Reservation should not continue for an indefinite period of time so as to become a vested interest. In the result, I hold that the impugned amendment is valid and in no manner alters the basic structure of the Constitution. Thank you.
Finally, I invite Justice Ravindra Bhatt to place it.
I regret my inability to concur with the views expressed by the majority opinion on the validity of the 103rd Amendment on question number 3, since I feel, for reasons set out elaborately in the following opinion, that this court has for the first time in the seven decades of the Republic, sanctioned an avowedly exclusionary and discriminatory principle. Our Constitution does not speak the language of exclusion. In my considered opinion, the amendment by the language of exclusion undermines the fabric of social justice and thereby the basic structure. I am of the opinion that the application of the doctrine of classification, differentiating the poorest segments of societies as one segment, that is the poor beneficiaries of reservation, and the other, the poorest who are subjected to additional disabilities due to caste stigmatization or social barrier-based discrimination, the latter being justified